Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to recover revolver reloading techniques. As some of you may or may not know, I work for a company in my real job, which is not making videos, surprisingly, that has an FFL, and we do transfers as courtesy for some of our customers and vendors. And I recently had a gentleman come in and get a .357 Magnum revolver. And while we were doing the transfer, I had small talk with him. It was basically, hey, why'd you get this gun? Why'd you pick it? What attracted you to make this purchase? And his backstory was, back in the late 70s into early 80s, he was an MP in the Air Force. He carried a revolver. Hasn't done much shooting since then, and what little bit he has done has been .22 plinking or some white-tailed deer hunting. And with the recent coming of the coronavirus pandemic and everybody starting to feel the need that they needed a firearm of some type, he thought having a handgun again would be good for him to do. And he had done his research. And he went through his research with me, and I could tell the man had spent time doing it. It was well thought out. He had a good plan. And he had settled on a revolver based on the fact that, well, that's what he qualified with in the service. That's what he had always carried. That's what he had qualified with. And any of the other types of firearms that he had been using since that time had been loaners from people, and he didn't really train or shoot them much. So he thought, for home defense and things going bad, that a good revolver with a 4-inch barrel would be good for him because he's familiar with that, and he had no concealed carry intentions at all. So that's what he decided to go with. And as the transaction was complete and he'd passed his background check and was getting ready to leave, he turned and asked one question. He goes, "How do I reload this thing?" And I kind of looked at him askance and said, "Well, same way you would when you were in the service." And his reply was, "Yeah," he goes, "I'd always call that reloading administrative. At that time, it wasn't stress or under the clock or anything, and it was strictly on a range for score." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get where you're coming from now." And I suggested that he get some speed loaders and some dummy ammunition and start practicing, and I displayed the technique I'm about to show you all now. And a slight caveat to this technique: this is my technique. And techniques are like bad ideas, everybody's got them. So this is my technique, I find works the best, and that's me. If there's a technique out there that works better for you, or you think my technique doesn't work for you, that's perfectly fine. I'm not implying in any way, shape, or form this is the be-all, end-all, and only way you can do this. For today's demonstration, I am using a MR73 .357 Magnum caliber revolver. This is not what the gentleman in my story purchased, but that's irrelevant because the common thing is it's .357 Magnum and it has 6 shots. And all revolvers work roughly the same way. Yes, there's exceptions to the rule, usually in how you release the cylinder. But the concept applies regardless of that method. And as long as it's a swing-out revolver, because there are different types, such as single action where you have to load and unload each chamber, or break top where just breaking the top of the revolver causes all the cartridges to fly open and you have the cylinder right there you can act. This is for a technique for swing-out cylinder revolvers. So, I have my revolver. I have fired my 6. Whatever my problem was is not gone away, and I need more bullets. So, I activate the cylinder release, pop out the cylinder, flip it out away from me, and let gravity be my friend. But, as you can see here in the cylinder, not all the casings came out. That's why you have this. It's an ejector rod. Pound on it until those cases come out. Okay, so we've used gravity to help us, and we've had to give it an assist. Now, why does it need an assist? As some cases fall out and some didn't. Well, that's when the bullet goes off, the expansion of the gas goes against the brass, which is a soft metal, and causes it to conform to the size of the cylinder chambers. In that case, sometimes it forms so much that it sticks, and gravity alone does not get your casings out. Alright, so the casings are out, we've hit our ejector, now it's free. Turn the handgun back over as such, and have your thumb around the cylinder as I'm demonstrating here. And the reason for that is it immobilizes the cylinder, so it can't spin as you're trying to line up bullets with it. Invert the gun with the muzzle pointing down at the deck. Retrieve your speed loader, and notice using dummy rounds here, from your pocket, speed loader holder, wherever you have it. Okay? Line up with the chambers, turn, pull your speed loader away or drop it, it doesn't matter, whichever works for you. I find with the dummy rounds here, the rounds just don't fall in like they do with live rounds, so I have to pull it away. Get rid of it, whatever you have to do. Close your cylinder and then engage your target again. Okay, now, subset caveats to that. Here's my empty speed loader. You saw there in the previous segment, I just chucked it away. Well, it's a speed reload situation, kind of just like speed reloading your semi-automatic pistol, where you just let the magazine drop and worry about recovering it later. Same thing here with this. The important thing is you have to get it out of the way so you can close the cylinder. And there are different techniques for doing that. Like I said, with dummy rounds, these hang up a little bit, and I have found it's best if I just shake it off and throw it away. Other times you just turn it, the rounds go right in, you just close the cylinder, and this will take care of disposing of itself in a speed reload situation. These are like magazines though, and you want them back. So if it's a tactical reload situation where you've dealt with your problems, you're just reloading your revolver so you can deal with more problems should they arise, then by all means, keep it in your hand, put it back in your pocket, not the same one you have other loaded ones in, so you can refill it later. All right, we've gone over the technique by explaining each step. Let's show you how it's supposed to look without explanation. There you go, there is full speed. I'm not normally a revolver guy, so my full speed is not Jerry Miculek speed. I freely admit that. But you notice in there I had a slight bobble. The expended brass cases I'm using to simulate fired rounds, some of them have formed to the size of the chamber and they're not coming out easily. I'm really having to hit the ejector rod hard. And get into the habit of having to do that. Don't just push it lightly. Give it some force to make sure those rounds come out if they're being stuck. Faster you get the rounds out, faster you get the new ones in. As stated earlier, revolver reload can be just like a semi-automatic reload in the fact that you have a speed reload and a tactical reload. We've just demonstrated the speed reload. Let's go ahead and demonstrate the tactical reload. And there you go. A tactical and speed reload with a revolver or a semi-automatic are essentially the same thing. It's just the loading device that you're using that's different. Thank you for tuning in for today's edition of Pegasus Test. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future firearms handling techniques.